Hey, this is Coach Raul, Placeres, head men's basketball coach at Maryville College. Appreciate Power Forward for having me on. Look forward to the many other guests that'll be on the show. Stay tuned to everything they're doing. Love what they're doing for the game. Love what they're doing for our community.
Hey, what's up, man? It's your boy AJ, Jizzle, Money, Bubba, whatever you want to call me. I'm a professional basketball player. Support my boy Rail Wood podcast. It's gonna be elite. I'm telling you now.
What it do, man? It's your boy Mike, and you are checking in with Power Forward with Rail and my boy Wood.
I'm watching Power Forward with my uncle and my daddy.
Hey, yo, what it do? It's Big Dirty. I'm rocking with Power Forward, Rail and Wood.
What's up? My name is Justin Austin. I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Make sure y'all check out the new podcast called Power Forward with Rail and Wood, man. They talking about everything basketball, man. Make sure y'all check that out as soon as possible. You ain't got nothing else better to do but sit at home, work, listen to music, and listen to podcasts. So might as well add this one to the list. Make sure y'all check it out, man. These dudes some cool cats, and they know what they're talking about. Peace.
It's your girl Jazz Lewis over here at We Working, and I am definitely rocking with the squad, Rail and Wood. Make sure y'all go check them out.
Welcome back to another episode of Power Forward with your boy Rail and Wood. Wood, it's good to be back, man.
Man, it's always good to be back, man. It's always good to be in the presence of a legend, man. Today we got the one and only Coach Raul, man.
What's up, fellas?
Hey, now before we get started, Jay, you already know. Coach.
We got to give him a two-part question though, Coach.
Yeah. What is your most embarrassing moment on the basketball court?
Most embarrassing?
Either coaching or playing.
Playing. I'm gonna go with playing. Okay. It's a sophomore year. I played at a private school, Catholic school back home in Miami. Played at Monsignor Edward Pace. My coach was Mark Lieberman. Ended up being an assistant coach for Rick Pitino at Louisville. And we're in Ocala. It's a big tournament, Ocala Vanguard down in Ocala, Florida. It's a big Kingdom of the Sun tournament. That's what it was called. And I'm playing as a sophomore. We were really young. The team before I had transferred there had won a state championship. So, there was, a lot of high expectations with the new group of new players. And we're playing a team out of California, Fresno, California. There was a gentleman by the name of Deshaun Stevenson on that team who was really young. And we jump on him. We were young, up 12-0. We're talking crazy. They were ranking the country. We got them, And we lost 93-59. And on a tip dunk, I wanted to be real pretty and go get it with one hand. And it bounced a little bit higher than I can jump. And Deshaun dunked all over me. And to make it worse, the ball hit the ground and hit me in my lip. And I was bleeding from my lip.
Oh, my
Never forget that. But hey, it was an NBA player dunking all over me. So that was embarrassing as a 10th grader for sure.
Ooh. For sure. Coach, I got to add another part to that question though this time, man. This is the first time. It's the first time for everything, Wood. Coach, what I want to know is, man, because you've been on the sidelines for a long time now.
Yeah.
What's been your most embarrassing moment as a coach?
Maybe getting a technical at Austin East when I was when I was playing Charles Mitchell in the I was playing Jody Wright in the semifinals. It was us when I was at Gallenberg Pittman as the head coach, and I went to go get a drink of water, and when I turn around, I see the referee signaling a technical foul. And I got a technical foul because I was out of my coaching box.
Oh, man.
So for you Fulton guys, I don't know if Jody knew how Jody, he knows a lot of people. I don't know. It came at a pivotal time in the third quarter too. So, but it was, I don't know if it's embarrassing, but it was, obviously like what is going on,
Right.
I've been coaching,
for sure.
I coached 5 years in high school, and this is my 11th year at the college. So, I probably had many more embarrassing moments that I just can't think of right now. So,
man, that's cool, man. So, Coach, man, for the people who don't know you, man, we want to go back. We want to go back to when it first started. I want to find out, what struck your interest and your love for basketball. So take us back, man. Tell everybody where you're from, Coach.
Yeah, man, I'm from Miami, Florida. I'm a son of Cuban immigrant parents, the little tiny island 90 miles away from Key West, Cuba. And parents migrated here in 1980. I was born in 81. Grew up really poor growing up, not because my parents weren't working hard. They did everything they could, but, we just didn't have a lot. And, the biggest thing for me was I finally fell in love with ball, probably when I was around 9 years old, playing in the park. My dad would take me after work and, took a liking to it, became a little bit good at it, started joining like the YMCA Boys and Girls Club back home in the inner city. And that propelled me to play with a lot of people. Back in those days, the AAU scene like it is today, it wasn't as the thing to do. So you just played at the Boys and Girls Club. You played a lot out, in Miami, you play a lot outside. There's not a lot of gym access like there is up here,
right,
because of weather. So just playing a lot, on asphalt and in the 95, 100-degree sun. But, I finally got an opportunity. I went to a public school in 9th grade and someone saw me play and they gave me an opportunity to go to a private school. And it's one of the best private schools in the whole state of Florida. It's called Gulliver Prep. That's where I ended up graduating in 11th and 12th grade. And, I got to play with the great Sean Taylor that passed away, played with the Washington Redskins. We were both teammates. Right. So, and I was all city back home, which is a big deal. You're talking about Miami, it's a big city. So I was all city for 1A, averaged 21 points a game, about 5-6 assists. So scored over 1,000 points as a high school player, won a couple of district championships, lost in the regional finals. If you guys, follow basketball, I lost to Jackie Manuel, ended up playing at North Carolina. I think he's on the staff now.
Yeah, he was super athletic.
Yes, defender for them.
Right.
Good player. And so, that had a good high school career, ended up going to junior college, went to Pennsylvania, really outside of Scranton, Pennsylvania, went to a school called Keystone Junior College. My coach at the time was Tommy Dempsey. Tommy Dempsey ended up being the head coach at Rider University, Division I, and then he ended up going to Binghamton up in New York. I went to the Final Four as a freshman in junior college. My sophomore year, we went to the Sweet 16. I was third in the country in assists per game my sophomore year. And like a lot of these kids, I went from high school to the junior college route. My dream was always to go D1. And, I had opportunities. I had an opportunity to go to East Carolina. I got there. I think I shared that with you. I think when we saw you at the college the other day, and it was one of those things where, man, the guys that were there were, just as good as me or better. And I kind of hit a moment, where I said, man, I just want to continue to play. And a school back home, Barry University, was D2. I wanted to go back home so my parents could see me play and all that. And man, at the last second, they were really, really interested and they dropped me. They wanted another guy. And I was honestly, like I had told all the schools up in the Northeast, man, I don't want to stay up here, It's too cold. I've been here for 2 years. I want to go down south. Man, and luckily my teammate from Florida International, Jason Doan, transferred to Maryville, loved it. And he told me, man, if you visit, I think you really like it. So I came up on a visit, fell in love with Coach Lambert and what he was talking about and the program. And man, I decided, for the first time in my life, I made a decision that, I said, you know what, level doesn't matter. It's about fit. It's about my coach making me, the best player I can be. They were winning. It's always been a winning program, man. And I can't regret it, man. I had 2 great years at the college. It was all conference both years, broke the school record for assists. Went to 2 NCAA tournaments. I was here 2 years. Went to the Sweet 16, round of 32. And that parlayed to meeting my wife, last semester of school. So I got to meet my wife. And I became the head coach at 23 years old at Gallenberg Pittman. I was a baby. And I got to play. The good thing was I still had a little bit of juice in me. That's when Rocky Top League was first started. And that's when it was at the height of tennis basketball. And you know how it was at Bearden. It was packed. And they brought an ABA team to Knoxville, the Knoxville Thunderbolts. I got to play with some from different guys. Ron McMahon played at Vanderbilt, old head. Dane Bradshaw at the time, and some local, played with Wiley. Wiley was on that team.
Wiley Cat.
Yeah, and so some local guys that were really, really good, and so I was getting my fix in, at the semi-pro level, but at the same time being a high school head coach. And I did that. I was a JV and a freshman coach my first year. Did really well. Head coach left, and they gave this young kid a chance, And man, every year we won more games. We won 16 my first year, 18 my second, 22, and then 24. And the only reason, to this day, I don't think we got to the state tournaments because that was probably as good as a district as there's been in a long time. We're talking about it was us, AE, Carter, and Fulton at the time. You're talking about players like Jaylen Steele, James Gallman, you're talking about Galen Campbell, Lester Wilson, Braylon Bennett, Brandon Lopez. We had 2 or 3 guys that were pretty good too. Like at that time, 4 of the top 10 teams in the state in two-way or whatever that classification we were at the time, I can't remember now, were from our same district. So it's that was my story there in high school. And then Coach Lambert called me and said he wanted me, he was going to retire. He said he had 4 years left, and 4 years turned to 8 years. And, we kept winning, but and man, I'm a big believer. I mean this, God presented the opportunity to become a head coach when he thought it was ready. And I think that's a big lesson that I've learned in my career is, everything is in God's timing. And man, it came at the right time for me. I think I was mature enough to handle it, and became the head coach, man, after 8 years. And, first person in my family to graduate from college. It was, it was a big day. It was a big moment for me in my career, in my life. And man, I'm very, I'm thrilled and happy to be where I'm at, man. So that's kind of the skinny on a little bit. And
Coach, man, Coach, I got to go back though, Coach. I got to go back. I want to ask you a question, man.
Give it to me.
With you being from Miami, growing up in Miami, I've noticed something that most of the athletes, you brought up Sean Taylor, but most of the athletes that come from that area that are able to make it out, right?
Right.
Are able to make it out, have success. They just got this grit about them. They got this toughness about them. It's different. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So can you speak to a little bit of that? Like, what is it about the city that makes them guys that way?
Well, first I'll credit my parents for that, right? Like I saw the grit and the toughness in my father and my mother growing up, right? My dad, growing up when I was young, my dad had 3 jobs, man. My dad was picking up tomatoes from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. He'd go home, wash up, then he'd go to my uncle had a dry cleaning service. So he would dry clean from about 8 to 1 p.m. And then my dad at the time, then go home, eat, take a little bit of a nap, and then he worked the night shift at a gas station. And so I saw the determination in my dad, growing up, my mom taking care of my brother and my sister, and, I have a sister and a brother my whole life, and so the toughness and the grit, I think, started at home. And, the city is everything is moving so fast, right? And there's so many ethnicities and it's, man, if you're not ready, that next person is going to, take what you want, right? What you really want to accomplish. But yeah, I'll attribute my grit and my toughness throughout my life as a player and now as a coach. It goes back to my family. My dad left everything. My mom left everything, left their families behind to make a better future for themselves. And, I didn't want to let them down. I know how much they had sacrificed. And when I got that opportunity, I wanted to be, if I've accomplished anything really special in my life so far, besides being a husband and a dad, is the fact that I was the first person in my family to graduate from college, and that's led others, nephews, nieces to see the importance of education. But, man, hopefully, I've answered that. I just, maybe it's so hot.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool.
It's so hot down there that your blood's boiling and and you got to bring it, but yeah.
No, that's cool, man. That's real, Coach. That's what it is, man. I love your answer, Coach.
Now, who did you pattern your game after?
I'm getting old now. I say names and these young kids have no idea,
Man, say them old names. We love them old names, Coach.
My favorite player of all time was Magic Johnson, right? I've always patterned myself kind of my personality of Magic was just an engaging person, right? Yeah, he was a fantastic basketball player, but he made others around him better. That's no different than what I'm trying to do as a coach, what I tried to do as a player as well. That's why he was my favorite. He can bring anybody along. He could change the game. He didn't have to score every time. He took as much joy as making an assist as scoring a bucket. He was always high-fiving his teammates. So, that drew me to him, as a young kid. I loved Isaiah Thomas' grittiness. I know we watch all these videos now with the Bull stuff, the last run and all that. And people have no idea how tough Isaiah Thomas was.
Yeah.
And,
One of the toughest, coach.
Yeah, and toughness again, and then I liked, as a point guard, I was a big John Stockton guy, right? Because he was so efficient and doing something that was so simple, the pick and roll, and how he dominated a game with another guy, Karl Malone, with just a pick and roll, and you would destroy a team. So, those are the guys that I guess I patterned myself around. I wore 11 in high school because of Isaiah Thomas. My coach wouldn't let me wear 32. That was a number for a post player, not a point guard.
Right.
But Magic and Isaiah and John Stockton growing up.
For sure. We know all those names, Coach. Very familiar.
Yeah.
But that's because me and you very close in age.
Age, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Now, Linwood, on the other hand, Linwood, did you even see Isaiah Thomas play?
Yeah.
Don't lie right now, man.
I saw it with my own 2 eyes.
When did you win?
Man, NBC, man.
Yeah, you don't know nothing about a younger Isaiah Thomas. You don't know about the bad boys.
Deep, Rodman. Come on, man. I know. I'm
what was number 53's name? What was number 53's name for the Pistons? Yeah, baby. Come on.
Come on, man.
What was number 23's name for the Pistons?
Joe Dumars.
Huh?
It wasn't Joe Dumars.
Joe Dumars was 4, but that's a good try, though.
Raul, do you hear him?
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Got my numbers.
Those are the days, man. That's Mark Aguirre. You have Mark Aguirre, John Edwards, man, Bill Lambier. You got
Yes. Hey, listen, man. Listen. People don't understand how tough the big men were just in the NBA at that time.
You had to be.
Hey, listen, bro. You had to be a serious. All them dudes were mean and nasty.
Yeah, it was a different age and how you needed to play the game.
Think about the power forward center lineup that the Knicks had.
Yeah,
they had Charles Oakley and Anthony Mason on one team, bro.
Yeah, at one time they had Xavier McDaniel too, who was an animal back in his day.
And Charles Smith.
Patrick Ewing. Those, Charles Smith, people forget, Charles Smith who missed all those layups to beat the Bulls. Like, Charles Smith was a really good player. Like,
he was real good. He was a real skilled player, man.
Yeah, man. Back then in the NBA, you needed 2 bigs. You needed 2 tough bigs. So I'm going to put both of you on the spot right now. From the 80s and 90s, you got a center and you got a power forward. Who are you taking?
You said the 80s and 90s?
80s and 90s.
Well, my center is gonna be a king.
Yeah, I would agree to that. He was the best one. Power forward, you can go many ways. Go Barkley, you can go Karl Malone. The Kevin McHale was nasty too. But he was good.
Hey, people don't realize how good Kevin McHale was. My bad, dog. It's like, Linwood, you might be surprised. It's one of my favorite big men.
I ain't surprised at all. He make layups. He defended. He rebounded. I ain't surprised at all.
Yeah, I go with any of them, Coach. And then the other center, my other center though, that I gotta throw in there, of course, is Shaq. But I just didn't want to pick him because he's obvious.
Yeah, it was more towards the late 90s, I guess.
Yeah. Surprised neither one of y'all went with Green.
No.
Y'all ancient. So, coach, getting into transitioning from playing into coaching. What was your mindset?
I had to mature really quickly, when you're leading young men, at the time, young boys, right? 14 to 18 years old, I was so young. I was 23 years old, leading guys very relative close to my age.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing was just me being as mature as I possibly could, knowing the importance of teaching them that education is important. I always say that all the time. I think it's one of life's biggest separators, being educated, and promoting that to the kids, pushing that, while changing a program. When I got to Gallenberg-Pittman, they had won like 20 games in like 5 years. They weren't doing very well, and little by little we changed it. I won with the kids that were from that town, and then I was lucky enough that I got a couple of transfers my last 2 years. With those kids, right? Like, it wasn't like those kids just came in and we were just good because of them.
Right.
Collectively, but yeah, man, being young and that was the biggest transition is, understanding that kids struggle, being patient with kids at that age. They're dealing with a lot of peer pressures. So that was one of the main things.
So, Coach, man, you had, like, you were just talking about the time you had at GP. What advice would you give up and coming coaches that are trying to maybe become a high school head coach? What's the one? I know it's not one thing that you could just tell them, but what would you say? What would be your advice?
Yeah, I think
something they need to be ready for.
Yeah, I think the first thing is you have to be yourself. I think a lot of young coaches want to emulate maybe the person that they work for or someone else. I think you get the most out of the profession of coaching when you do things your way, where you feel comfortable doing. If you don't know how to teach man-to-man defense, don't teach man-to-man defense because you're not good at it, right? I think going into the position is, do the things that you feel really strongly about, you're convicted about, and so that you can, kids will pick up on your nervousness as a coach, or that you don't know as much when you're trying to do things you can't. So my first thing is be yourself. Second thing is culture is very important. I know we throw that word around a lot as coaches, but it is important. That was my biggest thing when I got up to GP. I wanted the kids to look good first, right? So they could feel good and then they could play good. I think that's important. Guys wearing the same, practice uniform, and, having a practice schedule, and having a routine, and things like that. I think are important to developing a program. But I think knowing the basic fundamentals of the game, I know that sounds very cliche-ish, but I think that's important, and knowing how to teach it. So before you teach plays, before you want to, be the super coach, I think you got to learn and be able to teach the fundamentals of the game.
Definitely agree with that. So with that, who is the toughest person, or the person that you had a game plan the most for playing as a coach? So who is the best player that you have coached against?
Well, I'll stick to high school since, a lot of the people, if I say names, college names, a lot of these guys ain't, so you really don't know. But when I was in high school, I think Jaylen Steele, in my opinion, is one of the top 5 players who've ever come out of since I've been here.
Yeah.
I think he was just so tenacious, man. The biggest thing that caught my attention, Jaylen got to play with me the first year of the Rocky Top League. So with me, Jawan Smith, Ron Slay, we had Logan Johnson, who was a good player, played at South Doyle back in the day, who's in coaching now. He's coaching at MTSU. And Jaylen played on our team as a high school senior.
Yeah.
And you couldn't tell, right? If you didn't know him, you couldn't tell that he was a high school senior. And that translated, onto his confidence out onto the floor. So game planning for him was tough. We would run a lot of different defenses against Jody to make it difficult on Jaylen. I think Skylar McBee, people remember because he played at Tennessee. Skylar McBee, a good player out of high school. We made it really difficult for him at Granger. He was tough. Man, I'm getting old now, so I'm trying to. Lester Wilson was tough. Lester Wilson was tough just because he was so much stronger than most of the kids coming out of high school. He's just a physical specimen, and Lester worked on his game. People always, people will say, man, Lester couldn't really shoot it. He had a funky looking release, right? Yeah. But Lester was really consistent from 15 to 18 feet. And because he played with so much confidence, he would hit 2-3 threes, and now you're in trouble because now you got to pick him up, and now he's blowing right by you and dunking all over you. And Brandon Lopez was so tough because he just he would change speed so much, and he took over a game and he didn't have to score, right? He was just leading guys. And so, like I said, man, at that time at the district, those guys were really, really good players.
For sure. Coach, man, you spoke on something that as a coach for me, I think I'm real big on it. Because I'm a team guy. And I also think that teams that have that cohesion, that have good chemistry, good body language, that want to see each other do well. Oftentimes, man, them teams are really hard to beat. Them teams usually have success over time. When you combine that, of course, with talent, with talent on the floor. Oftentimes they have success. One of the first things I saw, man, that I got excited about was getting to see a Maryville workout or a practice, or I think they were just warming up, Coach, and the amount of energy that these dudes were showing warming up. And this is college, okay? You get what I'm saying? This is college where, a lot of guys can be prima donnas, man. It was refreshing to see, Coach. So what, speak on that a little bit.
I think, getting prepared, we talk about it all the time. Pretty don't get it done for me. Now I might get it done for someone else. I'm not, that's just my style. Like, I think you have to prepare to go to battle, right? Like, if we're going to use those words, it's a game, but if you're going to go to battle against someone else, you got to be mentally ready. And you don't get mentally ready by taking layup lines. Like, we're out just hanging out with our friends. I think you need to break a sweat. I think you need to start taking the type of shots you're going to take in the game. But a lot of that credit, I can't take credit for that. I create the structure, but my assistant coach, Coach McCord, who's actually a good player in this area, played at Maryville High School back in the day, Jeff McCord, he takes, that's his responsibility to have that. And all I ask is before I go in the locker room to give the pregame speech, hey man, how are we looking out there? Because that's important. Where's our mindset at? Are we going through the motions? Are we not? And to me, it's just life lessons, man. If you want to be extremely successful, you got to be prepared. And preparation starts, for us, it starts an hour before the game. My guys are on the floor 60 minutes before the game, stretching together. We have a pre-game, we have a pre-routine that we do every game, right? It's the same thing over and over and over again. And, I think, practicing those same boring habits, I think it's what separates us from a lot of programs at our level.
Coach, not to jump ahead, but what 20-4 this year?
20-4, man. 20-4. At one point, 18-1, and 11th in the country. But we had one bad week out of we had 18 weeks. We had one bad week. But that's hoops. That happens. Had a couple guys get hurt the last week of the year. And we just couldn't plug those holes quick enough. And that's basketball. Perfect storm there at the end for us. But overall, one regular season title in the league, won 20 games, which is extremely difficult to do. And, we didn't lose a game in over 2 months, man. I don't care what level that is. We didn't lose a game in December, January. So, really proud of our guys. And we got some good local ones too, that we'll talk about at some point.
Yeah.
Another thing, Coach, I wanted to ask you, man. I want to make sure I got my facts right. Now, you all did win the league champion. You won your conference championship during the COVID season, right? Correct?
Yeah, regular and conference tournament. Yep.
Talk a little bit about that year, because that was a tough year, man. Making all those adjustments, because y'all schedule. I looked at y'all schedule that year, and it was a little different.
Yeah, it was. We had to play the same team on back-to-back nights, which made it really weird, right? Like you play the same team. Like, for instance, we beat a team, Brevard College out of Asheville. We beat them by 30 the Friday night. You know how kids are. Like, and coach, we just blasted
right.
30, right? Like, what are they really gonna do the next day? And as a coach, that next day is gonna be even harder.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult. The mindset had to change because it was different. But we were able to overcome it, man. We won the regular season title, and we ended up winning the conference, championship. That's all we could participate, obviously, that year because they had canceled the NCAA tournament for us. But man, we had a bunch of stops, COVID stops. Had to quarantine and get back together, and no fans. Like we didn't have no fans that year, so we had to create a lot of energy. Within one another, right? On the bench, and guys had to be a little bit more proactive about that during games. So yeah, it was a challenging year. We found a way, and that's what led me to believe that we could have another good year this year. And we certainly did, man. The 18-1 start is, Coach Lambert. Coach Lambert's a legend in Division III.
Yeah.
And he's had some really good teams. It's the best start in program history, and really proud of that. Yeah, really proud of that, and hopefully we can continue it.
For sure. Man, Coach, the other part I love about what you all are doing at Maryville is, I'm a local. I live here in Knoxville, Coach. And one thing that I love that you do, Coach, man, you got an eye for that talent, man.
Yeah.
And you go, and every time you get a guy that signs that I know of, from this area, I'm like, yep, that's a good fit. Yep, that's a good fit, man. So, speak to, I feel like it's a lot of talent around here right now. A lot of guys, promising talent or whatnot. And, I just want to say shouts out to you for seeing the local talent around here, man.
Yeah, I think it's important, you got to be able to see and acquire that local talent, because a lot of guys, there's a lot of schools here locally that bypass on a lot of local guys that I think are very talented. I feel great about the class we just put together. We got Jaylen Green, who's a phenomenal point guard out of Knoxville Webb. His dad, Sean Green, with, shout out to Priority One, I think Jackson Garner, as good as a guard that's been around here. What I love about Jackson, I tweeted that the other day when I was at his game where he had 45 points, is that, he doesn't play to the crowd. He doesn't worry about the officials. He just plays, man. And those are things that I look for in guys. Are they all that way? No. But I think that's what sets him apart from a lot of kids his age right now in high school. Picked up 2 kids from Concord who's had 2 phenomenal back-to-back years with Coach Wilkins down at Concord, and Jose Rodriguez and Chase Morgan. I think those guys,
yes, sir.
Yeah, they got so much room for improvement here in the next 2 years. And guys in our roster right now, a guy like Miles Rasnick, who was a good player out of high school, and Chase Ridenauer, who was a really good player out of high school, and Cordell Kay, who was a pivotal piece to Bearden State Championship run when they had Quez and Drew and Shaq and Trent. He was a pivotal piece. He was the guy who did all the little things. And I can go on and on. I got Hayden Treadwell, who was a good player for Bearden a couple years ago, who was a freshman for us this past year, and a Fulton guy, Dom Holland, who was a role player on those teams. Defensive guy. Man, it's not, I say this all the time, it's not collecting talent, which that's important, but it's forming a team.
Yeah.
And a lot of coaches
I
sometimes,
love it.
just want to, there's one basketball, man. Not everybody, only one guy can shoot it at a time. So you gotta find guys that do more than that. So
Recruiting guys, coach. When you recruit players,
yeah,
I need you to speak on this a little bit. I need you to speak on this because we have a lot of parents that watch our show. Can you talk about how, you recruit the kid and the parents as well? Or the parents are part of the process as well, coach? Does that matter?
yeah. Everybody always thought, coach, you don't have to deal with parents at the college level. Well, guess what? You still do. Yeah, it's important, man. And the more I do this, the more that becomes prevalent. This is what happens. We have a phrase in our locker room that says, you got to listen to the right voices so you can make the right choices. And I think that's really important. You start having all these people come in your ear and what I call venom, that's anti-team, and anti trying to do things the right way, because all you want to do is think about the individual. And that becomes a cancer, right? In sports, and especially in team sports. And, you have to be very careful how you deal with parents. You got to be observant when you go and recruit. How do they act? How do they act when everyone acts great, when everything's going the right way, right? When you're winning, playing well, man, everybody's great. But how do parents act when you may sit their kid down? Yeah. He may not shoot, he may not have a good game. Those are all things that are important. I'm not perfect by no means. But I think I'm getting better at that. Hopefully making parents understand in the recruiting process how important their buy-in is as well to the whole program, right? Because if you're receiving that venom, it's hard for an 18 or 21-year-old to tell their parent, like, Mom, you don't know what you're talking about, or Dad, you don't know what you're talking about, right? Like, at the end, those are your parents. But it can hurt a team if you have the type of parents that are just thinking about the individual and not thinking about the team. And it's we all deal with it. Nobody's immune to that, no matter how good you are or how bad you can be. Everyone has to deal with those type of situations.
Sure.
So, Coach, let me ask you this, and I know you touched on it a little bit, but I want you to go just more into detail about it. Why have you been so successful at Maryville College? Why do you feel like you have?
Man, I'm surrounded by great people, people that believe in what I'm trying to teach and do. The community is great, has been great to me, not just as a coach now, but when I played here. Yeah. I have a lot of backing and support in that regard. Man, I do my best and do as much research as I can to bring a great student athlete, right? The whole piece, right? Not just a good basketball player. And we really work at it, man. This is I don't have many hobbies, I'm a basketball coach, I'm a husband, and I'm my daughter's soccer. I'm a soccer dad, and
killing the soccer.
That's my life, and so I'm very vanilla when it comes to that, man. When I'm in basketball season, that's I'm in full gear for 8 to 9 months, and I live and breathe it. And now, like we were talking about before we started, like there's no off season for me. I go from this to finishing recruiting, to doing my camps, to giving back to the community, with other camps, with Parks and Rec and churches around in my community, and then start the recruiting process again for the next class the following year. And what we got to do to get better, right? And that's my thing. My biggest word in my program is growth. We talk about that a lot. In a business cycle, you got the birth of a company, the growth of a company, the peak, the decline and the death of a company. And I think that applies to life too. I think you got to stay in the growth phase. And, I got to be better next year, because I don't want to go 20-4. Yeah. If I go 20-4, although I know it's a good year, man, I wasn't better, so I'm gonna work my tail off this off season to hopefully help my team and help my players have a better year.
I love that, Coach. I love it, man. Coach, let me know if you need a a point guard to come off the bench just to guard somebody, coach, I think I can still get out there a little bit.
Hey, even if you can't, we'll just run.
Don't worry,
We'll just
coach,
run.
look, you ain't got to worry. I ain't gonna take one shot. I'm passing and playing defense, coach.
Hey man, there's always minutes for guys like that, you know, and
See?
there's always minutes.
See what?
Got eligibility left.
I got all 4 years on the court. Coach, I know something though, seriously, that I want to get into with you, man, because you know, I know a lot of different people in the community as far, you know, people that have you know, student athletes who their kids are student athletes, and you know, they getting older now, and coach, can you kind of talk about the recruiting process? I know a lot of kids out there that are student athletes, and you know, trying to just decipher what's real and what's not real. You get what I'm saying? Like, are they really being recruited? Is it just interest? How do they know when a school is really talking to them?
Well, first and foremost, you know, when you see all these offer graphics, you know, on Twitter, whatever the kids use, you know, these days, whatever, Instagram, social, you know, TikTok, whatever they do these days. You know, if the head coach ain't talking to the player or the parent, that's not a real offer, right? Like, you know, it's important for people to understand a college coach is probably not going at any level, going to start taking a kid really serious to the time, basically he becomes a junior, right? Like there'll be interest as a freshman, you know, they might get, you know, hey man, I really like him, he has talent. But college coaches will keep tabs, but nobody's really truly recruiting till about your junior and senior year. You know, I'm in the profession, you know, I know where you're headed with that. There's a lot of fake offers out there. And you know, what I mean by fake offers is those are not legitimate offers. If you told that kid, hey, call so-and-so and tell them that you're committing right there on the spot. They may tell you, I don't even know who you are, right? Like you're not even on the radar, right? And sometimes programs will use that. And I get it, why they do it, right? To maybe spearhead. Another college sees, oh man, he got an offer from, I'm just gonna throw a squad. He got an offer from Georgia. Wow, you know, wow. So, you know, if I'm Auburn, I'm like, oh wow, you know, and maybe that spirit, you know, it gets his recruiting jump started.
Yeah.
It's not good because then the kid thinks that's really what he has, and then he comes to senior year and then he only has Carson Newman and Tusculum, right?
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden, like people are like, man, this guy went from a Georgia guy who Georgia was looking at, and now he's ending up as a D2 player.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to not jump the gun. You know, a lot of kids just want to collect, you know, to get the attention, get the likes, get the retweets.
Yeah.
Man, you know, it's just the coaches need to be talking to any program that's worth anything. I think, in my opinion, the coach is going to talk to the parent, especially the head coach, and you know, and the head coach is going to be talking to the player, and the head coach is going to be talking to the high school coach. You know, I do that even at, you know, and we're Division III, right?
Yeah.
I won't sign a kid without watching him play in person, without talking to his high school coach, without speaking to his parents. So I think that's what makes it truly legit or not is the effort of the coaching staff.
Yeah.
Another thing that came to mind too is how, you know, you see some kids, they may start out with legitimate offers where, you know, they say they may start out with 7 or 8 legitimate offers, and you know, through the process of them trying to decide where they want to go, when they come to try to make a decision, they find out that they don't really have 7 offers anymore on the table.
Right. Yeah, I think, you know, and that goes back to the high school coach, the parents, everyone, you know, they're being one voice and knowing what's really going on in the process. You know, you hear a lot of guys, I'm weighing my options. Man, you got to understand, if you're a guard, there's good guards all over the country.
Yeah.
And, you know, and if you got good opportunity, you got to jump on, you know, and a lot of times, you know, I know we talk about it, and we use this word a lot and obviously in our industry, but fit, right? Fit. Look, can Quez Glover play in the SEC? No doubt. He proved it, right? But Quez Glover, to be the best player he could be, is exactly where he is now.
Yeah.
You know, my high school coach is the assistant coach on the Sanford staff, Coach Rocco. And when Quez was coming up, and they were interested in him, I had nothing but glaring things to say about Quez because I got to coach him when I did the whole B Mays thing about 4 or 5 years ago.
Right.
And I thought that was a perfect level for Quez because he was going to get that amount of minutes to be able to showcase what he's really about.
Yeah.
And he proved
Right.
it. I can say the same for Drew Pember going in. Yeah. Drew playing the SEC, no doubt.
Yeah.
But he couldn't do what he's doing now, which is he's a pivotal piece to what you see, UNC Asheville is doing. And there's been so many guys, I go back to Jaylen Steele. Jaylen Steele played in the SEC, ended up at LMU, right?
Yeah.
Right. I say this all the time. You want to know levels? Come watch one of our games and then tell me that you can play, that you can play D3. Or go to LMU, watch them play and say you're better than a D2 before you say, hey, I'm a D1 player.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
We got D1 guys on our roster right now. You come and watch us play. We're as athletic. We went down to Sanford, who won 21 games this year in Division I. We were down 6 with 6 minutes to go.
Right.
And we're Division III.
Sure.
Right.
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing I always suggest is before you say what level you are, just come to a practice, come to the game, and then you can really tell me that you're better than that level. That's the biggest thing. That's the tough part about my job when guys will call me and say, hey, I got a guy for you. You've never even seen us practice or play, and you're trying to sell me the 4th, 5th best player on your team. Now, we're typically recruiting either your best or your second best.
Right.
To be highly competitive and successful at our level.
And I think it just go back to our conversation earlier, Raul. It's about fit. If you can go somewhere you can fit in and you can work with that coach and you can know what you're going into, I think it'll make you more successful in the long run. Because you said, oh, let me just go. I'm not going to take any offers because I'm D1. And you got this really good D2 or D3 program and them D1s pass on you. What you going to do then?
Yeah, it's a silly phrase, but I've always been, when kids tell me that, I think players play, right?
Yeah.
You ain't a real player if you're just sitting and watching somebody, right? Yeah. If you have the ability, and that to me is really important. And there's nothing wrong with having high aspirations and wanting to play at the highest level, but there also has to be, you have to be self-aware of yourself and what your limitations are, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, but yeah, fit is really important, man. And I'll tell you this, I've been doing this now 11 years at the college level. When parents first come in with the student athlete, it's all about, hey, hold my kid accountable. Education is number one.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, when he's not playing as much as they think he needs to be playing, right? The education and the hold my kid accountable thing is the last thing on the radar. And what's the reason why people leave?
Playing
time. And I'm big on that. To me, the guys that stay with me for 4 years, that's the real family, because you've gone through it. Everything is not going to be easy, and you got that's why very few guys got a lot of good high school players. You got guys to make it to college, but there's a few amount of guys that make it through, and walk the stage and finish those 4 years out, regardless of if they're playing a lot, not playing a lot. That requires a lot of toughness. Yeah. So there we go on fit.
Yeah. And I think it just goes back to what you said earlier, man. Your support system. You got to have a good support system. You got to have somebody that's looking out for your best interest. Because if not, then it's like, now I'm in a screwed up situation. I could have been in a great one.
And you got to be real.
Yeah.
Like that's one thing we're missing in today's generation and society. Not a lot of people keep it real with the kids. Hey man, you're not a really good shooter. You're limited, or hey man, you got to work on your defense. Like if you can't play, that's why I love Fulton so much, right?
Yeah.
Jody knows it. I'll tell Jody if he was here, right? If he was and he's listening. Offensively at times, because you guys could be stagnant offensively, right? But one thing that that you guys are consistent with is your defense. why do guys from Fulton, when they go to college, why are they successful? Because they know how to play man-to-man defense. You know, I've gone away from recruiting guys that if they just play all zone in high school, man, it takes you about a good year to learn defensive principles. And being 2 passes away and being on the line and being aggressive and, you know, and that's what, you know, we talked about evaluation and going into the gym. Like, that's one thing I look at, man. Can the kid guard? You know, a lot of kids, it's who can you guard when I put you out on the floor? And that'll earn you some minutes. And, but, you know, going back to it, just keeping it real with kids, you know, and attitudinal things, right? You know, you hear it all the time, right? Body language. We talk about body language a bunch. You know, how many kids, man, you know, constant reactions, whether to parents or coaches or referees or like, you know, when you have those type of kids, guess how their careers go? So
up and down. You know, you spoke about body language. I always tell my guys, man, I'll never forget when Zion Williamson was at Duke. Here he is, the five-star player, number 1 player in the country. You know, everybody know he's gonna go pro. When they sub him out the game, coach, he is running to the bench. He's running to the bench. He's dapping everybody, you know, with that same enthusiasm. So, you know, I always ask my guys, if Zion doing it, you know, what's the reason why you can't do it, man? But I think right now what's going on with some of the kids is that, you know, that's not the cool thing to do. You know, some kids want to be cool and stuff like that. So I really appreciate kids though that know who they are and aren't afraid to be passionate and excited about what they're doing, bro.
While we on that, let me ask you this, Raul, because I done heard you said a few times. So I know you talked to both AAU coach and high school coach, but when it comes down to it, you're calling the high school coach.
Yeah, no, I would call it, depends, you know, what association you're playing for. If the guys that I'm calling are guys that know what they're doing, know what they're talking about, right? That's important. You know, I'm just not going to call anybody for the sake of just calling and just talk hoops, right? Time is of essence, right? So, you know, I try to recruit. Man, the biggest thing is if you want to have a good culture, you want to recruit kids from winning programs. That's what I try to do. I think it's really important. So you want to bring kids in that understand the importance of winning. And the same thing with AAU. You know, AAU for me more is, can your attributes lead to winning? You know, that's what I look for in my recruits. What you do well, can it help us win games? So yeah, I'll coach. No, there's no doubt. I've called AAU coaches in the past. There's no question about that. But you know, it's important.
Because I get this question a lot from parents, and I'm just curious to see what a college coach would say. Is either one more important? How or does each one present different things as far as for you for recruiting purposes?
No, both is different. You're talking about AAU in high school? Both important elements. In AAU, you can see more of the individual, showcase their ability and talent. More in the high school setting, how do you, because typically most guys will go back to their teams and they're the man, right? And sometimes when you play AAU, there's guys that are just as good as you or better. So you get to see a guy, how does he incorporate himself with other good players? And then in high school, how does he lead when he's the guy? But I think both are big, you know, indicators of how good a player can be. But the same things, you know, I look for, you know, does he respect, number one, does he respect his mother? You know, you know, if a guy disrespects his mother on a visit, man, if he disrespects his mother in front of me, what is he gonna do when he shows up to my program, right? Man, so that's really important. You know, how do his parents act on the floor? You know, when they're watching him play, how does he react when things don't go his way? You know, I always say, I hope a kid picks up, you know, has his worst game, because then I really know who he's really about, right? And I know that sounds silly, but I don't need to see a kid that long to know that he's a good player. But I want to see him when he's facing adversity. How does he work through that, right? So, you know, picking up 2 fouls in the first quarter and then his coach sits him down, like, how does he react to that, you know?
Coach, man, one thing that keeps coming up, I keep hearing it. I keep hearing you say it, and it kind of it reminds me of home, because I can hear my dad, all throughout my life, man, kind of just instilling me how important it was for me to try to further my education as far as I could take it. Can you talk about the importance of education for our student athletes? Because I feel like sometimes that's getting lost right now, especially like in high school, with guys just kind of not really excelling in the classroom, but, just kind of floating the boat.
Yeah, I think like I shared with you, I think it's one of life, biggest separators. I think when you're an educated person, you can maybe attain a higher level in a job just because you are, you have a little bit more knowledge, you have a little bit more experience dealing with hardships and difficulties. That doesn't mean that's the only thing, right? Like there's many successful people that don't have a 4-year degree or whatnot. But I think it's important for people to understand it may limit your growth, it may limit your potential, right? So that I think that's why it's important. Getting good grades tells you a lot about a person, because that means they are disciplined. That means that they're taking other people seriously, right? A teacher in the classroom is no different than a coach on the floor. And if you're not taking their classroom seriously and you're getting bad grades, I think classroom performance is a huge indicator of on-court performance for you to be a really, really good player. The more balanced your life is, I think the higher you can be, the higher you can reach as a basketball player. We're talking about student athletes here. So, man, yeah, education, man, it can limit your opportunities. We're talking about from a basketball standpoint, like you don't have the grades, like, you kill yourself from an NCAA standpoint where you can't go D1, D2, or D3 because you just don't have the GPA or you don't have the test score. So now you've limited yourself to going NAIA or JUCO, right? And so it's a matter of I think it starts at home. It starts with the individual. At the end of the day, it's what you want out of your life, and that's the thing that I think young kids nowadays miss out on. They try to emulate all these superstars, right? Whether we're talking about athletes, movie stars, music people. What they forget to realize is the reason that those people have gotten to the point that they are is because they have worked extremely hard. So what kids do is they emulate the end process, right? Which is, man, let me wear the nice clothes. Let me wear the shoes. Let me look like so-and-so. But the reason those people can do that now is because they've worked so dang hard to get to that point. And so, don't emulate the end process, emulate what got them to become those people. And it's probably all the things we tell them as teachers, as educators, as coaches. You got to have grit. You got to be disciplined. You can't, there's not much sleeping, right? Like you got to get it. And, you hope that, that's why you hope that superstars in our sport would take that part of their job a little bit more serious, because, that's what kids do. They emulate the superstars and how they act and how they go about things. And, and that's why sometimes we have difficulties with kids. Like, coach, what you talking about? Like, this is how LeBron acts, or, this is how, you name it, and then it makes it hard for you as an adult to make them understand what the important things in life are.
Right. It's a lot of distractions now for a young player, though, too. I think so more than ever before. We was talking about this with somebody else that was on our show a while back, is that, hey, you remember, like, if you had a highlight tape, you was that was only for the best of the best. You know what I'm saying? Now anybody,
and everybody got it. And that's why I told you, like, when you asked me about recruiting, like, I can't go based on a highlight tape, right? In today's world with the effects and all the stuff that you can do, like, a really bad player can look great on a 2-3 minute highlight tape.
For sure.
So it's important. I'll never sign a kid, just based on, I got to see him with my own eyes. You asked me about, as a coach, I think you got to trust your eyes. A lot of guys, then they're going to offer a kid because so-and-so offered him.
Yeah.
I'm as a coach, I'm going to trust what I see, not what someone else is seeing. And it goes into coaching as well. Hey, I'm going to go on what I'm seeing. I'm not going to go on what Joe Smith is saying in the crowd or Peggy over there in the corner. Man, this is what I see every day in practice, which leads me to make these decisions during the game. And that's what parents, fans, people who come watch, you're only watching the game. You're not there Monday through Friday at practice and knowing how he acts and what he's doing in the classroom. That's why coaching is hard, man.
For sure.
It's difficult.
I definitely agree with that, man. But it's so rewarding though, man. Especially seeing the kid that you got in the beginning and just seeing him progress. It's just so rewarding, man. And I think that's why we all love it, and that's why we all do what we do.
No, for sure.
No question, man. We do a little exercise with our program. So on senior night, I have all my players write a letter back to the program and what their experience meant to them. And I use that in our recruiting pitch when parents come. At the end of the day, I'm a coach. I'm a salesman of my program, right? Don't go on what I say. Don't go on what I do. What I'm telling you we've accomplished. We have the letters out so our recruiting parents can see what the program means to the players.
Right.
And when I go back, those to me, like, you win a lot, you win championships, you cut nets down, all that stuff it's awesome. But those letters to me are why I do what I do. When I get to read them and see the impact and some of the things that you may have forgotten.
Yeah.
I told that kid and that it hit home with him, and that's what made him persevere or go a different direction to get things right. And so, man, words are so powerful. I know your show is Power Forward, but powering forward through the good and through the bad. But a coach can affect that in one way or another. It's not, we can have a great effect on kids making it out, but we can also say things sometimes that makes a kid not want to continue. So you got to be really careful in your approach and in your words in regards to your style of coaching and philosophy.
I think that's something I had to learn the longer I went on. Because Lord knows I done said some crazy stuff to some kids over the years. I love all y'all boys. Hey, I love all y'all boys. Wherever y'all at, if you listen to this, my bad. My bad, dog. I love you.
But, the good thing is I think, we've all been doing this for a while now. Like, kids know where your heart is at. They know the authenticity. And, as you get older, man, that's why Coach Jay was the way that he was, because he was, I told you that when I saw you at the college, like, man, I remember you taking all those little kids, when you guys would come and play those AAU tournaments at the college. We're talking about Quest little group, all those guys growing up. And the way you were coaching them, you weren't preparing them for who they were then. You were preparing them for who they're actually becoming now.
Yeah,
right.
It's hard to see that, right? Like, man, why is Coach Jay so hard on me? Like, he's getting after me. We're up 25 and I just turned it over. And it's like, relax. But, you didn't want those bad habits.
Man, that's exactly what it is, man, is as a coach, bro, I tell y'all, man, especially being a community coach, you get what I'm saying? So, before I ever started coaching at any school, I did a bunch of AAU, coaching recreational and all that stuff. The cool part is to see them some of them actually become what I thought they could be. You get what I'm saying? Or just starting to scratch that surface of that. It's really cool, man. It's really cool to see. And it's not easy to do, to this stuff we talking about doing. So, even if a kid doesn't carry on with sports and become, play on any of these levels, I still have other guys that are just doing good in life, man. And that's what it's like you said, that's what it's really about. Just this past weekend, I was shocked how many kids who I had coached in the past that reached out to me after the state tournament. You know what I mean? Just reaching out to me in the DM, just showing me love, and it just was a firm reminder of all of the good people that I met and all the good work we did in the past.
Good.
Yeah, and Raul got one of those on the roster now, and he have another one joining him. Coach J, boy,
Man, I love
dogs, man. Chase, and then
I
you
love.
Jackson, man. You got 2 dogs from Coach J.
Hey, I can talk about it now, Raul.
Huh?
I can talk about it now. I couldn't talk about it much. In the past. Hey, bro, I had your back the whole time, baby. I had your back the whole time. Hey, but here was the best part, man. Here was the best part. Jackson's dad is a straight shooter.
Yeah.
He is a straight shooter. He's all about if he feels like people are being genuine and all these things. And I'll be honest with you, man, he was very skeptical, not about you or anything, just about Jackson going to Maryville College at first, right?
Right.
And just his whole recruiting process, he kind of was down about it a little bit, to be honest, because he just felt like, he felt like Jackson deserves, something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And after they met with you all, man, it was everything.
Yeah.
So your presentation to him, what you thought about Jackson and the reasons why you recruited him and how transparent you were, you blew him away. And he is not a guy that's just going, somebody just going to talk to and blow away from a conversation, man. He was all on board, and it meant the world to me to know that, I knew Jackson was down, but then once Jeremy was down, it was all good, man. And to know that he was going to be with you, it was like family, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's good, man. And we talked about, family being all in, and, their family is all in. And, when you're all in like that, the kid is going to reap the benefits of that positive energy, right? We always talk about energy, right? There's also that positive energy that comes from the home, and that can really lead a player to achieve more than he ever thought it was possible, because whether it's parents, aunties, friends, like if you're receiving positive energy, only good things are going to happen. And that's what I've tried to do, no different than, Jaylen Green and Sean's family, right? Like, they're all in. They see the vision, they understand the big picture of what I'm trying to do for these kids. And yeah, man, it's rewarding to hear that, it's refreshing and rewarding to hear these things. And like I tell kids, man, what you see is what you get. My biggest strength is my truth, and sometimes it's my biggest weakness because it hurts me, right? Like some kids don't know how to handle it,
Right.
But I'm not here to tell you, what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what you need to hear, and that's what I do in my recruiting pitch, man. If I think you can play, you're gonna hear, and you're gonna know that I expect a lot out of you. But at the same time, I'm demanding.
But I want to say this too, Coach, man. It was really cool to hear even more that you thought he could play, but the things that you noticed about his game and how you was able to point them things out to him, without me going into all the details, all that. But the way you was able to point those things out to him, man, I thought it was pretty cool, man. I thought it was cool, man.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
And Coach Raul is one of those coaches, man. You're going to see him in the gym.
Oh, he there.
He in the gym, man. And that just go back to the eye test, man. And that's why each and every year he puts a good product on the court.
I agree with that, Coach.
We try, man. We try, but it's also about relationships, man. And you want to recruit kids from people that try to do it to the best of their ability, but that do it the right way. And that's something that I've tried to, man. It don't matter who you are, what your stature in society is. You guys know me. I treat everyone the same way, and I don't change for nobody. I'm the same cat, that played when I was in college. I'm just older, and but that's me, and those who do it the right way, I think good things happen for you, man. So, we'll try to continue to get better at the craft.
Coach, thinking about, the future a little bit. To one is I want to make sure I got this right. Now, we are wearing something new now. We're wearing a new brand right now, right?
Yes.
What we in, Coach? What me and Linwood rocking right now? What we rocking?
I don't know. I can't see it. I hope it's Nike.
Nah. What we gonna be rocking, Coach? What's that brand we rocking?
What's our shirt gonna have on it?
What's that?
What's our shirt gonna have on it that you sending us?
Oh, Maryville College, man. Rep the M, right? We're repping the M with the Nike check, man.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll get you some gear,
Yes, sir, baby.
I met with the rep.
Hey, Wood said, what size? He got them big old feet, Coach. I know you got some size 15s back there.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, give my dude some kicks, man. He be trying to get Jordan size 15.
Man. But is he hooping or is he wearing them out to the movies with his jeans?
Hey, Coach, I think you would have liked Wood because he's a defender.
No,
he that guy.
Someone I forgot to mention? Someone I forgot to mention that was a really good player when I was coaching? Little Dre Matthew. People forget about him now.
Woo!
Little Dre, he probably played at the highest level out of anybody around here and was really successful in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And people forget that, the years go by and, you get up, Little Dre, for a guy that probably weighed $140, he was a menace on the floor, and, I remember Coach Rocco was dying to get him when he was at Ole Miss, because I think Dre went JUCO. I don't remember where
he went JUCO.
But, he was a game changer. So, yeah, I was thinking about him. I was thinking about players of the past, and for some reason, sometimes he gets forgotten, but, he's one of the
Please get his name. We won't hit it in the drum. We sorry, dog. We are sorry.
Yeah, and that would have been crazy, him and Ole Miss, man, because it would have been him and Marshall Henderson together.
I know it. Yeah, I know it. That's when they went to the NCAA tournament and all that. So, yeah.
Coach, where you see your program going in the future? Like, where do you want to take it? Because it's you still kind of fresh in the position.
Yeah, like anything else, man. I've tasted NCAA tournaments as a player. I've tasted them as a coach. I want to win the whole prize. I've been really close my entire life at winning the ultimate prize. In junior college, got to the Final Four, lost in overtime. In high school, really close, regional finals. And, in college as a player, when I got to Maryville, went to the Sweet 16. So, I've been knocking on the door. When I did the whole B-Mays experience, I took that 16 and under team to the national championship game on the Under Armour circuit. And we lost by 2 to G3 Grind out of Indiana. So, the ultimate prize, I have yet to reach it. And that's what I'm striving for from a competitive standpoint, right? That doesn't make or break what we're doing, but from a competitive standpoint, I work at it to win the whole thing. And, I just want to continue to be consistent in my teaching, consistent in the type of young man we bring into the program, and continue to hopefully win at a high level by playing the best. See, that's one thing about me. I'm not the type of coach who wants to, just stack up wins so people can think I can coach. My thing is, it's like next year, my 13 non-conference games, I'm playing 8 of the 13 teams were in the NCAA tournament, and 2 of them went to the Final Four. So, I'm not, in order to be the best, you got to beat the best. And that's the way that's always been my motto. When I went to GP, that was my thing. Like, I took a little team from a little town and took them to the Arby's Classic, and we beat Sumter from South Carolina. That was a perennial powerhouse coming out of South Carolina. And now that's always been my thing, man. I want to play the best. That brings the best out of you. Who shy away from that? Are you really a competitor?
Right.
So yeah, man, I'm just, continuing to recruit the best local kids in our area. that value the D3 experience, and you know, continuing, like I said, man, to teach the game the right way and win at a high level.
Yeah, it's a big thing because, man, right now East Tennessee is at an all-time high for basketball and skill. You don't get this every day where so many teams are so good. So I mean, I definitely think that's an advantage going forward.
Yeah, and it's just educating families, you know, coaches in the area. Man, don't say like, man, I got a D2 kid. Like we talked about earlier, right? I got a D2 kid. Well, okay, go to an LMU game, go to a Carson Newman game, go to a Tusculum game. You know, is that really a D2, right? Like, can he really play? Go to our game, you know, come to our practice, come to our game. So they got to really understand the levels. So kids, see, that's the difference in D3. Why are the D3 teams so good up in the Midwest and up in the Northeast? Number one, there's a lot more Division threes, but they really respect the fact there's some really good players at our level. And see that in our area, you know, I get it, right? Like I get it. Like it doesn't bother me. Kids will overlook our place, but when you start, this is good about our program right now. You know, when you get a guy like Miles Rasnick, who's a pretty tough dude, and you get a kid like Chase Ridenhour, you get a kid like Jackson Garner, and then you get a kid like Jalen Green, and you start getting these type of kids, and the kids are looking around and saying, oh, wow, man, those guys are playing in Las Vegas. Oh, man, those guys are going to Daytona. Man, those guys are playing Division I's every year. Man, look how those guys look. Look at the gear that they wear. Look how they travel, you know. They play D3. Yeah, we do it at a pretty high level, and guys go overseas and play. That's something that they wanted to do. You know, we've had 6 guys in the last 10 years go play overseas, right? You know, so it's, you know, you can make it, you know, that's one of my pitches. You make big time where you're at. That's it. Make it the best experience you can. And, you know, that's what I'm trying to continue to promote in this area, you know, and I got to show it with the product on the floor. And, you know, we'll try our best to continue to do that.
For sure, man. Man, Raul, man, I done thoroughly enjoyed this. I know one thing, Wood. Me and you gotta do it. We gotta do better, man. We gotta do a better job, Wood. Yeah. We gotta go to a game next year.
Gotta get there.
We're gonna cover to a game this year, man. We gotta do better, man.
You guys are more than welcome. You can bring anybody and everybody you want. I think that's you know, bringing kids to see that, and you know, seeing the type of young men that they are, you know, and I you know, and I say this because I am like, you know, for our neighborhoods and our communities that we've grown up in, it's important for young kids to see minorities be successful. And you know, and that's important to see. You know, in our case, you know, we have a lot of Black players that are really good players, really good people, really good students. And I think when you're a young kid, that can really, you know, you're impressed by that, right? Man, look how he carries himself. Look, you know, and maybe that impacts, you know, the future generations to do those type of things. And man, that's what I'm trying to do, man. I want my teams to be a melting pot of different people from different backgrounds, from cities, rural areas, poor, wealthy, because that's the world we live in. And you know, my job is when guys finish their 4 years, they're ready to tackle, as corny as it sounds, ready to tackle the biggest game, which is the game of life. That's the game that lasts the longest. And I got to use basketball and the tools that we try to teach within the game to help you, you know, further yourself and be, man, a great ambassador. You know, be a good dad, be a good husband, be a good friend, be a good brother. Like those things to me are, I mean this, like that's what we do this for, because we push the game forward, right?
Yeah.
So that's it.
Man, that's what's up, man. Coach P, man, we done enjoyed this, man. Thank you, man.
Fellas, I enjoy you guys. I appreciate who you guys are. And you know, if I can ever do anything for any one of you guys, you know my number, you know where I'm at. You know, we may not be the same blood, but So appreciate both of you guys.
And we appreciate you, brother.
All right, man.
Sure.
Have a good one,
Thank you, Coach. Thank you again, man.
You got it, man. Anytime.
Hey, man, this has been another fire episode with Power Forward with your boy Raylan Wood and Coach P.
Coach P.
Signing off.